What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips. Stas, stas, stas. You already know we're going to get it in like Adam in Canada, only with an older woman. I'm good off all that bullshit, right? Shout out to everyone, man. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and let's get to the intro. Let's go. Welcome back, man. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all, so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. I appreciate all the support, man, and I'm very humbled by it. So with this Big U situation and all these indictments and things happening, no one's really talking about a connection that was made. Bricc Baby. Bricc Baby was locked up. Now, Bricc Baby is everybody's favorite rapper, except for mine. Bricc Baby is someone who is constantly on No Jumper and is constantly either getting choked out behind the scenes or has a lot to say on the dead homies. Now, he is an individual that has had his ups and downs with the neighborhood rolling 60s. Okay, whether if you truly believe that he is Rich Rollin' or he's not, it's totally up to you. I don't know that man from a fucking bowl of soggy cornflakes, but one thing I do know about him is he continues to be on the No Jumper podcast and talking about situations that don't directly involve himself. Hey, he's a content creator. He wants to get on top of a roof with a funny hat and no t-shirt on, nipples poked out, and dance with a white man. Well, brother, let's do it, Wood. Right? He could do whatever the hell he chooses to do. One thing I know for sure is he got his ass locked up and incarcerated on this indictment, this Operation Drawdown, that, of course, involves Big U and another content creator on YouTube, Loose Cannon, right? Now, Bricc Baby has been talked about in circles for a very long time. You know, there's people like Whack 100 that's always boggled my mind. How do you work in the same building, a one-story building, and have ultimate beef with someone? Street Fighter beef, Mortal Kombat beef, WWE Dusty Rhodes beef, right? You really have beef with the guy, yet you never see him. You guys know each other's schedules. You work for the same white man, brother, right? You guys got a lot going on, but never seem to have the funk between you guys going on. It just always tripped me out. I guess there's more to meet the eye there on some Transformer shit, Adam. But one thing I know for sure is Bricc Baby has stood out the way for the most part on certain situations, except for a few. Now, here's some questionable activities when it comes to Bricc Baby. You know, for those of you that don't know, Bricc Baby has been incarcerated. He's done time. Whether he paroled in good standings or didn't, man, it's a lot different for the black man compared to the Mexican man. The Mexicans are going to hold your ass accountable, just like the brothers are going to hold you accountable. But the brothers sometimes are able to get away from certain situations and wiggle just a little bit easier than the Mexicans are, because Mexicans just don't like other Mexicans. That's how that goes, right? But I'll say this when it comes to him. Regardless of if he's in good standings and he's an active gang member or none of that, you can't roll around with AK-47s. Okay, you just can't. And Bricc Baby has been alleged to have been arrested a while back in possession with what was considered an AK-47. Now, automatically, if you're arrested with automatic firearms in the state of California or anywhere, that's usually a Fed case. The feds will usually pick that up. You know, a la Crip Mac, who was picked up for a gun that couldn't even work, couldn't even discharge, okay, and picked up a few years. So you, lo and behold, you're going to tell me that Bricc Baby gets picked up with an AK-47 and voila, the case just disappears. He doesn't get charged. He never goes to court on it. He just goes back on the podcast No Jumper and continues to interrogate people along with the Jefito, Adam, the Viking warrior, right? I don't know. Some didn't meet the eye. There was more than meets the eye. Some wasn't right. You know, but I continued from a distance to see what was going on with this guy because I was always skeptical of his character. Like, why would the feds not indict this guy in an AK-47? Well, there could be a number of reasons. One, they sat his ass down and he decided to cooperate with the police, right? Two, him and Officer Lovejoy decided, hey, this joint interaction between them was more, right? Better working together against Big U and other associates. It benefited them more than doing a little hand slap time in the feds for an AK-47. Or Davata got that TI deal, that rubber band man deal. Okay? You go out there, you tell us everything you see and everything you hear, and we got you, right? Makes a lot of sense. But this one makes the most sense. They weren't tripping the feds because they already had Detective Lovejoy over there feeding them enough information, and they wanted to get Bricc Baby's young ass caught up too on the dead homies, right? When you're talking about catching bodies and clapping people on the dead homies, and my homie did this, my homie did that, and they already are looking at an indictment on several Rolling 60 gang members, which you associate and are saying you're affiliated or a part of. Well, we're just going to get you too, buddy. That's how they feel, right? So they could have bypassed that charge in order to charge him later with this Rico and then include that in the indictment to make him look much worse. It's the thing with the feds is they'll wait and gather a gaggle of evidence, and when they got you, then they'll get you, right? And then they got you. So that could be the case. There's a lot of people pointing fingers at Bricc Baby saying he's telling. Is he going to tell first? Will he tell? Well, when a person is in an uncomfortable position, you never know what they're going to do. If you've ever faced life in prison or an extensive amount of time, that is the true measure of a man right there, and his idealism and his commitment to his gang or his group or his idealisms, period, right? What are you going to do? Ask yourself this. You're sitting down right now watching Gunner's Collective TV or Collective Clips on your TV. You're watching me talk to you, an ex-convict who got over 19 years incarcerated on the 4 yards and the 3 yards in several different states. And I'll tell you right now, when you're sitting down looking at a whole lot of time, a lot of things go through your mind. You wouldn't be human if you didn't think, damn, man, I'm not going to be able to be with my kids no more. I'm not going to get no pussy. I'm not going to be able to eat fucking big steak or chili cheese fries like Detective Lovejoy likes to eat but never goes back ever since he knows Big U frequents that spot. There's a lot of different things that are going on in your mind, right? That might make you say, you know what? Fuck that, eh? Let's get, can I get that rubber band man deal? Okay, and then there's a lot of people who have dedicated themselves to their cause, their beliefs, and just were raised a certain way and say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to grit my teeth and lock that muzzle and I ain't saying shit. Now, there's a lot, everybody's going to say that's what they'll do until they're faced with adversity. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's a fucking fighter till they get punched in the mouth, right? And when the feds sit you down and they're like, hey, we got an AK right here, homie. You know what that means? What does AK mean? It means AD. Well, what does AD mean? I thought it was an AK. Yeah, it is. It's AK. It means all day. All day, right? He might consider working with them. Now, for the people that are putting jackets without paperwork and pointing fingers at Bricc Baby, on the dead homies, right? We need to give him the benefit of the doubt, because just like I would sit here and say, all these cases they're trying to place on Big U in this indictment are definitely alleged, and he is innocent to proven guilty. So is Bricc Baby. Let's not be biased here and treat one person different than the other. Bricc Baby was obviously locked up on this indictment. Well, let me tell you a little story. There was an indictment called Operation Valley Star. And when that indictment happened, several people from Merced, Fresno, Los Baños, Tulare County, the whole Central Valley were locked up. A lot of norteños soldados, guys that were actually involved in regiments and so on and so forth, right? All these guys have been locked up, and so I can speak on this now. There were guys that were locked up that were actually already cooperating with law enforcement, and the reason law enforcement locked them up was one of two things. Either they were going to double back and get them anyways, or they made it look good. These guys were already informants, but they said, we're going to go ahead and lock you up just so that way your comrades, your people, your camaradas, your homies don't think that you're the one that's telling. But lo and behold, we know what time it is, right? And of course, they got a slap on the wrist, disappeared somewhere, and no one ever talked about them. Only those that got locked up that seen the indictments and were like, damn, my own homie got me, right? So with Bricc Baby, Loose Cannon, and several others being locked up, Big U will only truly know, and those that are associated with him that actually catch the Rico will only know who are the guys telling on them, because they get their paperwork. They get, of course, the case against them, and they, by law, and their lawyer are able to see everyone who is making accusations against them. That's the way it works. Now, if it's a CI, a super CI, confidential informant, it could be blacked out to some degree, but there's ways for people to tell who's telling, right, Big Meech? That's just the way it works. I'll say this, right? I'm not going to put a jacket on Bricc Baby, but something came to light that seems very explosive, and I'm very skeptical about it. And not a lot of people are talking about it, so I will. Lil Durk. Now, we know Lil Durk has close association with a lot of different gang members stretching from California to Florida, allegedly, right? And Lil Durk is a big name in the industry, the hip-hop industry, and of course, very closely associated with, from the same hood as, rest in peace, King Von and several other hitters from Chicago. And we all know about the case Lil Durk is facing right now. You know, the implications of being accessory to basically trying to have people murder people on his behalf. Now, whether that's true or untrue, his day in court. He'll shine in court. I'm sure he got lawyers giving lawyers piggyback rights, trying to figure it out. But Lil Durk is housed in a federal detention holding center where Bricc Baby is now housed, allegedly. Now, why would the feds decide? Well, there's several reasons. It could be for bed placement, meaning they have no bed space. They need to put them how it's a housing concern for Bricc Baby, which if Bricc Baby is super active and with the Rolling 60s, wouldn't he be in a module or a pod with his homeboys or co-defendants? I don't know. Maybe he's on a kept separate. Maybe there's something you know that I don't know, right? Like what? Like what you say, right? Well, like what? Like he's being housed right there with Lil Durk. Is it for merely conversational purposes? You know, is there a reason why he's being placed there with Lil Durk to maybe have a jailhouse conversation? I don't know, right? It's things that make you wonder. But out of everybody that's on that indictment, lo and behold, and I like using that word, and I use the term loosely, Bricc Baby is housed with Lil Durk. Now, with Lil Durk going through everything he's going through, and I've said it before many times, the thing you need to do is keep your mouth shut. Now, let me double back to that Operation Valley Star I was talking about because I lost my train of thought, right? And people are like, what the fuck did you say that for? People, I know someone personally that was on that indictment that was placed in holding cells around guys that were going through time that was actually a known confidential informant, right? Or he wasn't known at the time, he's known now. So it's not the first rodeo. It's not the first time the feds would utilize somebody to get at somebody for a jailhouse confession or to get some more dirt. You know, I think Lil Durk is in a good position right now. He's in a position where he's letting his lawyers do his thing. And as long as he keeps his muzzle on lock and doesn't say too much, then he doesn't have to worry about too many people speaking on his names beside his co-defendants and the people that have already implicated him in his decision-making process, right? That's just real. Now, Bricc Baby being placed there is very, very, it's weird. It's a weird situation because here he is caught up on a big indictment. Now, I don't know, and I'm sure it'll come out. Someone's going to put it out there and we'll speak on it. What exactly Bricc Baby is being charged with? Is he involved with the Rico? Well, obviously, he was this Operation Drawdown. You know, a lot of these people are going to catch the Rico. They are going to be faced with that type of adversity. And then some are just in there because, of course, they spread their net wide and bring any associations. I mean, Bricc Baby can be caught up on that AK. Maybe they're bringing the charges up. Maybe they're not. Maybe he's brought in on a specific case, or maybe he was just brought in because they figured they could try to question him and break him and you know, knock his dookie braids up out his head. I don't know. At the end of the day, for anyone to make assumptions or assume would be asinine, right? You don't do that unless the proof is literally in the pudding. And that brings me up to saying Officer Lovejoy 600. Now, this guy got on my radar a long time ago. I was like, who the fuck is this dude? The first time I ever seen him, he was a fat dude with some boxing gloves trying to train Crip Mac. So I started to look into this guy because he started talking about he was a boxing trainer and he was going to start a YouTube channel. And I said, okay, another brother man doing a YouTube channel on Paru, on Crip. I support it, right? And then next thing you know, he's a 60s Crip and he starts talking about Big U and disrespecting people and pulling up to chili dog stands, eating chili dogs and chili cheese fries. And he had beef with Bricc Baby and said Bricc Baby put a gun on him. And then obviously they became friends again. And then they're on No Jumper. And then Bricc Baby gets caught up with the gun. And then that disappears. And then Officer Lovejoy's over there talking about Whack 100. Then he's cool with Whack 100. Then they're signing rappers and rappers are failing. And there's a lot of bullshit going on. Meanwhile, I'm looking at all the different messages being put on by the people who watch this guy. And they're all calling him a cop. And I started to look at his mannerisms and look, being from the streets and being housed and being around Crips and Bloods and some North 8 thugs. and a gang of Southsiders and Woods, brother. I ain't never, ever in my life seen a motherfucking 60s Crip that acts the character of 600. He's the police. I mean, he acted like it. I'm not going to say he is, but man, if the shoe fits, put both them motherfuckers on and get to stepping. Officer Wright, because he definitely looks like he carries a can of mace. I mean, there's some taser shit going on right there, if I hadn't said so myself. And then yesterday, just yesterday, you know, there's a raid happening, and out of everyone in the world, and there's what, approximately 7 to 9 billion people in this world, out of everybody in the world, Craig, in the whole damn world, Craig, 600, the man that despises Big U for whatever reason. He's never truly given us his reason. He's always made up accusations without the proper procedures and paperwork. But the man that hates this guy the most happens to be right in front of his house when the police are raiding it, right? And now, of course, he put out a video laughing, saying, oh, it was after the fact. But what were you doing at his house anyways? And how were you able, the only man in the world, to break the news before the news broke the news that Big U's home was being raided and it was a Rico and all this and that? Like, how would you know? How did you and on Paru Whack 100 know? How is it that you two gentlemen who despise this man the most out of everybody in the world know first? T.I., you could have whatever you like. You can get 18 months for a gun and a bike, right? I don't know. I'm just saying situations like that got me real skeptical about even speaking on that guy, because, man, you shake the hornet's nest, you get stung, right? He could sit there and he could laugh with the badge around his neck and the security hat on, but I definitely see what people are saying about him, and I definitely see the characteristics of someone who's never been a street brother. I would say with the N-word, but I don't use that word, right? Because that's the way you say it, but I'll say a street brother, right? And I'll say this, and I say that to say this. That guy right there, man, you would think he would be picked up at least for questioning. At least with everything that he said about DNA and bodies, and, man, this guy said Big U was a straight-up killer, right? Crazy. Now, getting back to the Lil Durk situation, man, if I was Lil Durk and I was housed with this dude that just came in on a big indictment, that's name is closely associated with 600 and other guys like Adam on No Jumper that has got several people incarcerated, or I'm not going to say has got them incarcerated because I don't want to get sued, but I will say a lot of people mysteriously have been locked up off that channel, or that have associated with that channel. I would shut the fuck up, Lil Durk, in a real way. Lil Durk got action. Lil Durk keep his muzzle on lock. Lil Durk might be back out, you know what I'm saying, doing fucking Drake diss records. I don't know, but I'm saying this. You know, if you speak with that dude, Bricc, baby, shit, say la vie. So it might get ugly, you know, because like I said, he might not necessarily be a teller. You know, Bricc, baby might be a lot of things. He might be a choke artist. And when I say a choke artist, someone who goes behind the scenes on No Jumper and gets choked out by 4Xtra's brother and shit, or whoever's brother that was, right? He might be a guy who crashes out. You know, what he is, he's this guy in there going through detox. As much Percocets as allegedly as he pops, that motherfucker's stomach hurts bad right now. He's worse than my primo Pepe. He's in there like, yeah, help me. Help, guard. Help, on the dead homies, help. On the dead, ain't no Percocets in prison, huh? In the jail, in the federal detention holding center. Housed with Lil Durk. Lil Durk ain't going to give you no kind. Lil Durk, don't give him a sopa. Don't give that motherfucker a sopa, homie. You're going to give him a soup, and you're going to feel bad when he tells on you. Straight up, stay away from that character. Anyways, you know, not a lot of people are talking about it, but allegedly, from what I'm hearing, Bricc Baby is actually housed in the same unit, same tier with Lil Durk. Is it a coincidence? Was he placed there? By coincidence, a lot of coincidence going on. Just like 600 being the first person in the world to pull up to Big U's home as the doors are being kicked down. That's a coincidence. You know, a coincidence that Adam, the Canadian warrior, Adam, the Canadian voyeur, Adam, will go on No Jumper and disrespect Big U right after the Big U's locked up when his name is mentioned on the indictment for being a social media platform that they say Big U was on. I never remember Big U being on No Jumper. I remember his name being mentioned and him being implicated in several cases and murders on that channel by other individuals that were hating fucking an indictment into existence. These are just all true facts that I'm stating here, man. This is my opinion as well as facts. It's my opinion on the facts. Let's just be real here, man. With that being said, if Bricc Baby is housed in the vicinity of Lil Durk, my only thing I can say to Lil Durk, and I know he might not watch this, but if you're an associate or a friend of his, give him this message. Brother, don't say shit. Because that dude might be dirty in the game. Not saying he is, not saying he isn't. One never knows, does one. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. We'll continue the narrative, man. We'll continue the content as more details are released. This is a big deal right here, man. Dudes are losing their life. Lil Durk, don't fall for them slime Bricc Baby. And he's going, I'm the dead homies. I ain't gonna say nothing, homie. Who'd you try to have killed, homie? All right? Don't do it because it's real serious. The gun.